not just a privileged few in the most limited circumstances. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Brave prison officers are under attack.
Hesitate to take any further action, but unlike him, I won't make, and I quote, headline-grabbing measures just for the sake of a headline.
When will the Justice Secretary strip Ruda Cabana and monsters like him of these privileges?
Because he appears not to know that under the Tory government, violence on staff in our prisons soared.
By giving each and every one of them the protection that they need in the form of high-collar, stab-proof vests.
Imagine a child killer convicted of the most horrifying crimes you can fathom. Now imagine he might soon be living in comfort at your expense. Axel Ruda Kuba, the Southport killer, could move from Belmarsh Prison's high-security cells to a luxury psychiatric hospital. Why is this happening? And who decided his comfort matters more than justice for the victims? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favour. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video.
If the government doesn't act now, I'm warning once again that an officer will be killed on the Justice Secretary's watch.
And experienced officers left in droves because of it. That is the inheritance that I have received, and that is a mess.
Could a man like Axel Ruda Kuba, convicted of the brutal murders of 2 young girls, soon leave one of the UK's toughest prisons for a far more comfortable existence? That's the grim reality being discussed right now, as authorities weigh transferring him from Belmarsh Prison to a high-security psychiatric hospital. Officially, the reason given is simple: his deteriorating mental health. Evaluations claim he exhibits signs of severe personality disorders, and under UK law, he could therefore qualify for alternative treatment. But critics, including prison staff, are calling this move laughably premature.
After the Southport killer Axel Ruda Cabana allegedly attacked an officer with boiling water and put them in solitary confinement. And when will she finally have the backs of all our brave prison officers?
With some even labelling Ruda Kuba's behaviour a calculated ploy to manipulate the system. To understand why this decision stings so deeply, you need to know what Ruda Kuba did. His crimes shocked Southport and remain chilling to this day. He didn't just kill. He carefully lured 2 innocent young girls to a false sense of safety before subjecting them to unimaginable violence. The details, though horrifying, are critical here. He reportedly tied both girls up for hours before committing the murders, displaying a level of cruelty and planning that's impossible to reconcile with the leniency of what's being proposed now. Transferring Ruda Kuba means he could trade Belmarsh's concrete confines.
He is now binging on treats like Maltesers and Pringles, not just a privileged few in the most limited circumstances.
And constant surveillance for the relatively relaxed environment of a hospital like Broadmoor. And that's where the outrage begins to boil over. Secure hospitals offer privileges unthinkable in Belmarsh: a personal room, access to DVDs, even therapeutic gardens. The stark contrast between these reassurances and the suffering Ruda Kuba inflicted is especially galling to victims' families. To them, and to much of the public, this doesn't look like justice. It looks like Ruda Kuba is circumventing punishment altogether, potentially exploiting loopholes designed to protect the genuinely unwell. Prison officers have voiced skepticism, noting that Ruda Kuba's medical complaints sharply coincide with legal opportunities for transfer.
When will the Justice Secretary strip Ruda Cabana and monsters like him of these privileges?
Because he appears not to know that under the Tory government, violence on staff in our prisons soared.
By giving each and every one of them the protection that they need in the form of high-collar, stab-proof vests.
It doesn't add up, one officer is quoted as saying. And while Ruda Kuba's legal team pushes the narrative of a man in desperate need of treatment, many feel this sets a dangerous precedent. As frustrations grow, there's another layer to the debate: how much this proposed comfort upgrade will cost everyone else. How much would you pay to house a child killer in comfort? That's the question sparking outrage across the UK as news of Axel Ruda Kuba's potential transfer to a secure hospital breaks. The numbers are stunning. While housing him in Belmarsh Prison costs taxpayers £57,000 annually, transferring him to a high-security hospital would inflate that figure to £325,000 per year. That's a six-fold increase, not including additional costs tied to psychiatric treatments and specialised staff. It's a financial gulf difficult to justify, especially when funds for vital public services remain stretched thin. To put those figures into perspective, let's consider where £325,000 could go instead. The government recently froze funds for university nursing courses as part of an £18 million reduction in education grants. This freeze directly affects the training pipeline for NHS staff, worsening the already significant reliance on overseas recruitment. Imagine unlocking that funding. How many healthcare workers could we train if that money wasn't funneled toward the comfort of Axel Ruder-Kuber?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Brave prison officers are under attack.
Hesitate to take any further action, but unlike him, I won't make, and I quote, headline-grabbing measures just for the sake of a headline.
These kinds of comparisons are infuriating to a public already grappling with slow hospital wait times and overstretched nursing homes. Yet, if the transfer is approved, taxpayers will foot the bill for Ruder-Kuber's upgrade from a prison cell to specialised care and arguably even leisure. What's more infuriating is the stark contrast between Ruder-Kuber's potential new environment and the pain of his victims' families. In a secure hospital, he'd transition from prisoner to patient. That means access to a private room, more relaxed rules, and privileges like television, DVDs, and more frequent visitor access. For families who lost everything to his crimes, this feels distinctly unjust. One prison officer even remarked how Ruder-Kuber's sudden claims of mental distress look suspiciously like he's gaming the system. This is where the moral weight of the case becomes undeniable. Society expects its justice system to hold criminals accountable. But can it balance accountability with mental health rights, particularly when fraud or manipulation might be in play? With tensions rising, Ruder-Kuber's case highlights a deeper flaw. Is the system truly equipped to handle cases like his effectively? Or are we watching the scales of justice tip dangerously out of balance? Axel Ruder-Kuber's case isn't just about the fate of one man. It's a stark reflection of how easily the justice system can be manipulated by those willing to blur moral and legal lines. The anger surrounding his potential transfer exposes a troubling imbalance, a system that appears to weigh the comfort of criminals over accountability owed to victims. Should someone responsible for lives lost be rewarded with better living conditions simply because their motives now align with legal loopholes? This decision, when finalised, won't just impact Ruder-Kuber, it could redefine how justice is managed in the UK for decades to come.